Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Sanford Memorial Stadium here in Sanford, Florida, for tonight's opening game of this pregame series between the Texas Southern Tigers and your Wildcats at Bethune-Cookman University. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to meet tonight's starting lineups, beginning with our visitors from Houston. Leading things off, playing center field, number 4, Kelton Phillips. Phillips, center field. Batting second in the order tonight for the Tigers at shortstop, number 15, Bryce Hughes. Hughes at shortstop. Batting third in the order, second baseman, number 2, Jaden Jones. Jones is at second base. Batting cleanup tonight for the Tigers at left field, number 10, Isaac Garcia. Garcia in left field. Batting fifth in the order at third base, number 17, Jaden Flores. Flores is at third base. Batting sixth, serving as the DH tonight, number 9, Evan Juber. Juber, the DH, batting sixth. Batting seventh in right field, number 46, Tyler Lejeune. Lejeune is in right field. Batting eighth tonight behind the dish for the Tigers, number 7, Alex Diaz. Diaz is the catcher. Rounding out the batting order tonight for the Tigers at first base, number 5, Jonathan Trejo. Trejo at first base. And the starting pitcher tonight for the Tigers here, game number 1, left-hander, number 26, James Malone. James Malone, the starting pitcher tonight for the Tigers. Head coach of Texas Southern is Michael Robertson. And now let's get ready to meet tonight's starting lineups for your Wildcats at Bethune-Cookman University. Leading things off in left field, number 1, Darrell Lee. Lee in left field. Batting second tonight in right field, number 36, Andre Martinez. Martinez, right field. Batting third tonight at first base, number 33, George Rodriguez. Rodriguez, first base. Batting cleanup tonight for the Cats, the designated hitter, number 44, Jose Fernandez. Fernandez, the DH, he'll bat cleanup. Batting fifth tonight, second baseman, number 12, Jesus Venegas. Venegas at second base. Batting sixth behind the dish, number 22, Irvin Escobar. Escobar, the catcher. Batting seventh tonight at third base, number 29, George Gonzalez Fego. Fego at third base. Batting eighth tonight, your shortstop, number 2, Cheater Poyedo. Poyedo at shortstop. Rounding out the batting order for the Cats in center field, number 19, Sergio Rivera. Rivera in center field. Your starting pitcher for the Cats, left-hander, number 24, Edwin Sanchez. Edwin Sanchez, starting pitcher for Bethune-Cookman here in game number 1. Head coach of the Cats, Johnny Hernandez. Assistant coaches, Joel Sanchez, Derek Garcia, and Hunter Allen. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we ask that you please stand. Gentlemen, remove your caps. Veterans, you may cover as we pay tribute to this great nation with the playing of our national anthem. Let's get ready for baseball action here in Sanford between the Tigers and the Cats. Ladies and gentlemen, we also want to remind you concession stands are open for
Well, live from Sanford Memorial Stadium here in Sanford, Florida, it's time to bring the curtain down on the 2025 BCU baseball season as the Bethune-Cookman Wildcats begin their last series of the year against the Texas Southern Tigers. Hello and a very warm welcome. My name is Michael Torello. Happy to have your company for the press box here in Sanford as the Wildcats, with 2 wins out of 3 this weekend, will lock up the #1 seed going into the tournament and the regular season title. But they're looking to overturn some recent history that has gone against them, Bryce, as they have lost the last 2 season finale series to Jackson State 2 years ago and to Alabama State last year.
And that's a little bit of a complicated equation if you look back. I mean, there's years where, of course, you may not playing guys down the stretch as much as you would in order to save guys for the tournament, or there's flat out been some years where they've fallen in weeks before that to go down to the 2 seed, and then you look at the standings and the matchup and you say, well, we'd rather be the 3. There's none of that this year. You are gunning for that #1 seed. You want to take care of business, take those 2 or 3 this weekend to lock that up. The first one in conference history since you joined the SWAC just a couple of years ago now. It's very much on everybody's mind, but at the end of the day, you still know that what's most important is Birmingham next week, and I think the Wildcats will approach that a lot this weekend, whether it's saving guys, pinch hitting guys, getting some of these pitchers out early, but you still need to take care of business, and starts early on this Thursday.
Well, for Texas Southern, the stakes could not be more dire as they are currently below the playoff line, coming in a half game behind Prairie View A&M. And with Prairie View A&M having a tough matchup against Alabama State this weekend, already dropped 2 of the games yesterday and this afternoon, Texas Southern will hope Prairie View that drops tomorrow and can take 1 from the Wildcats here over the next 3 days. Kelton Phillips leads off for Texas Southern. The junior averaging .375, top hitter on this Texas Southern roster, to face Edwin Sanchez. Sanchez has been the Sunday starter for most of the year for Bethune-Cookman, but has been moved up to this first game of the series due to injury to both Tanner Bocabello and Joel Correa, and also Bryce, in preparation for him starting the first game of the tournament next Wednesday to give him the most rest that he needs. That one is low, and the count 3 balls and a strike to Phillips.
Yeah, and what a season for Sanchez. I mean, what a guy that we came in talking about, yeah, he's your typical Sunday starter. He's going to give you innings. He might not blow you away, and then right from the gate, I mean, he took it and ran with it. You're talking about a guy who's got a case for pitcher of the year.
But he does, unfortunately, walk Kelton Phillips, first batter up for Texas Southern. Texas Southern's pitching can be a bit of an adventure, but they can hit the ball, as Phillips' .375 average and 35 RBIs can attest to. Here's Bryce Hughes, the freshman, batting .346, 53 runs on 65 hits, 13 doubles, 2 triples, 6 homers, and 46 RBI. 1 on, nobody out. The diminutive lefty Sanchez will check back to first. Numbers on Edwin Sanchez this season. He's a junior pitching with an ERA of .343. He's 8-1 on the year, best record on the staff. 13 appearances, all starts with 1 complete game. A bunt down the first base line. Sanchez off the mound to throw to first. And Bryce Hughes does the job and advances Kelton Phillips on to second base.
Well, and don't be surprised if that's the kind of baseball you're going to get used to seeing for maybe the rest of the season for these Wildcats. We'll talk into it deeper into the weekend about Rickwood Field and Birmingham. There's going to be a lot of small ball. And Texas Southern, much like a lot of those teams you're going to see, especially in the early rounds, although plenty of them up and down will do it, will go to that small ball to try to manufacture some base runners and some runs.
Now 1 away. Here's Jaden Jones, the senior, batting .364, second best average on this team. First pitch, ball 1. The top 3 in this order: .375 for Phillips, .346 for Hughes, .364 for Jones. 1-0 from Sanchez. Line drive back up the middle. There's a base hit. Holding up at third is Kelton Phillips, and there's runners on the corners with 1 down.
Wildcats fortunate there that ball is hit right at Sergio in center field. Otherwise, you're probably talking about a run, but it gets on him so quick. He's got the solid enough arm that he's holding the runner there. But again, Texas Southern is much like a lot of these West teams that they're going to hit, they're going to continue to hit, and they feed off of the base runners.
The Wildcats have given up at least a first-inning run in 5 of their last 6 games and have been behind in all of those games. Those are all 3 games against Alabama State, the game against Stetson, and the first game against Grambling State.
They just win these games, man. It's the kind of team that they've been. It can be frustrating to watch early on, but yet somehow it's calm.
First pitch, slider, strike at the knees to Isaac Garcia. An interesting inclusion in the lineup for Texas Southern. Has no offensive stats. So correction, this is number 34 in the lineup now. A late change for Texas Southern. It was originally listed as Isaac Garcia, who's a pitcher. But in the batter's box right now is Damian Garcia, a redshirt junior from Arizona. And he grounds one right back to the pitcher. Goes to second for 1, back to first. Double play, and the Wildcats get out of it. Really intelligent play by Sanchez to spin and throw it back to second, even as the runner raced home from third. No runs, 1 hit, and 1 left. And we go to the bottom of the first. Texas Southern nothing, Wildcats coming to bat. This is Bethune-Cookman University Baseball on the CatEye Network. To the bottom of the first we go. The Wildcats use some nifty infield defense to get out of a runners on the corners 1-out jam. And now Darrell Lee will stand in to face the left-handed pitcher for Texas Southern, James Malone. Malone, a very tall left-handed pitcher with an ERA of 10.43 on the season. First pitch, lefty to lefty. Lee watches it up and in. Umpires today, Robert Knox Reyes behind the plate. Robert Nunez at first, Royce Morrison at third. Lee, high pop, foul territory, third base side, out of play over the clubhouse. And it's important for the Wildcats to make fast starts in these games, not just because you want to put a team like this behind you early, but in the tournament, they will be punished for slow starts like they've had the last couple of weeks, even though the offense has been able to dig them out of some holes.
Yeah, and a lot of times the digging from holes has come in one big blast, right? One big inning.
Lee pops it foul again.
And, as great as that is, and as much as you'd love to say, we know we got that in our back pocket, we're always capable of something like that. You don't want to have to live that way when it's tournament baseball. You want to be the one that's playing from ahead.
Malone, a senior from DeSoto, Texas, deals. Came in and hit Lee on the behind. And so a hit by pitch. So the leadoff man for both teams gets on via the free pass. A walk for Kelton Phillips in the first. A hit by pitch for Darrell Lee in the third. 10th hit by pitch of the season for Darrell Lee. And we've got to praise Darrell this season for just having the knack of getting on base in the leadoff spot. He does have 51 strikeouts, but 34 walks and now 10 hit by pitches, and on-base percentage of over .440. And a lot of steals as well for the BCU leadoff man. 20 steals, second most on the team.
And this Wildcats team has done an outstanding job of making teams pay. I mean, they've been hit a lot this year. They've walked a lot, and they've made teams pay for it.
Malone finally comes home to Andre Martinez, who watches a fastball outside corner, strike one. Full numbers on James Malone. He's got an ERA of 10.43, 9 appearances with 8 starts. He's 3-2. In 33 2/3 innings pitched, he's given up 40 runs on 53 hits, 39 of those earned. That one's lined to left field and foul. Just a little bit in front of the changeup was Andre Martinez, and he's down 0-2. Rest of the numbers on James Malone. He's walked 18, struck out 24 with an opponent batting average of .366, hit 8, and thrown 6 wild pitches. Martinez, as he has been a lot this season, behind 0-2. Catcher sets up outside, lefty deals, and before that, he'll throw back to first.
To his credit, man, Andre Martinez is not getting the easiest at-bats like maybe he was to start the season. I mean, everybody knows exactly who they're getting when he's coming to the plate, and he's still managed to hit him over the wall and take advantage of misses or even some good pitches that he's been able to send the other way.
0-2 in the dirt. Andre Martinez, a known quantity now, of course, batting .341 on the year, down from over 400 he was batting in the middle of the conference season. 48 runs on 57 hits, 12 doubles, a triple, 16 home runs, and 52 RBI outside 2-2. He has out-homered the entirety of the 2024 Wildcats team by himself.
It's just the power that this team has shown this year is something that, you know, we were hinted at early in the season, but still every time we see it, it's such a different look for this program.
2-2. Little lofter, foul territory, first base side. Trejo, the first baseman, makes the catch, one away. So out with a whimper goes Andre Martinez, who's just trying to foul that off and stay alive.
I mean, important for Martinez, who, you know, as great as the numbers look, he has had the tendency to get a little streaky at times. He's had cold stretches. He's had hot stretches. Can't go cold in a tournament. I mean, don't have to necessarily go white hot, but you got to stay consistent.
I remember one of the times he was here in this ballpark.
Certainly one of the hot stretches.
6 home runs in 4 games. And he had 2 the last time out against Grambling State. Another check over to Darrell Lee. 1 away, Lee on first. Here's Jorge Rodriguez, another guy that's come out of nowhere this season to swing a really hot bat. Best average on the team, .384 for Jorge Rodriguez. 31 runs on 48 hits, 12 doubles, 11 homers, and 35 batted in. He pops one up just past the infield, straight behind second base. The second baseman, Jones, will fight the sun and make the catch 2 away. So 2 soft pop-ups, and there's 2 outs in the inning. And here's the hero of the Alabama State series, Jose Fernandez. The game-winning walk-off single in the first game, and the game-clinching 3-run home run in the third game.
Yeah, he's having one of those seasons, kind of like we saw from Michael Rodriguez last season at points, where you see these flashes, and you're like, wow, this is a kid who, it's a bummer that he's been buried behind some of the starters to a lot of points this season, through no fault of his own.
Pick off the first. Lee gets barely back in there. And another one of those guys, just a sophomore, kind of like Jorge Gonzalez-Fable or Carlos Jazmin, some of those guys that are younger, that they come in and show you flashes, but the consistency is not quite there, and you don't really expect it to be as a sophomore. Lee takes off for second. There's the throw down there. It is not in time, and Lee takes his 21st stolen base of the season.
It'll be interesting to watch how the Wildcats employ the run game when we get to Birmingham next week. It's been not a focal point of the offense, but it's been a great tool, and really one they've gone to a lot more than I think early in the season we thought they would. I think it's going to stay pretty consistent that you've got your maybe 3 or 4 guys you trust to do it, and then for the most part, will stay away from it from everybody else.
Infield playing deep here, the 1-0. Outside on the opposite batter's box, 2-0. And it's important to be patient with a pitching staff like Texas Southern, that has a team ERA of over 8.50. As you see the starting pitcher's ERA of 10.43, James Malone. He's usually their Sunday starter. The 2-0. In the dirt, 3 balls, no strikes. So we got a pair of normal Sunday starters going at it in the first game of the series here this weekend.
It's also funny, we talked about it on the radio show on Hail Wildcats Radio coming out on Saturday this week. The Texas Southern's 7th in the league in ERA. You know, you look at that number, and we take for granted a lot in this league sometimes, but that 8.81 is 7th in the league. And some of those are real teams that could make the playoffs, Grambling and Southern.
Mm-hmm. 3 balls, no strikes to Jose Fernandez with Darrell Lee in scoring position on second. He'll trot back over there after Malone disengages. Now, the best starter on the team is Calvin McClendon, who we expected to start tonight, but will probably start Saturday in the third and final game of this series. 3-0. In the dirt, ball 4, and there's 2 on. So the 2 Wildcat base runners due to free passes. A hit by pitch to Lee, and now a walk to Jose Fernandez. That'll bring up Jesus Venegas. And it kind of feels bad, right? If you're Darrell Lee, you wasted all that energy stealing, and you could have just stood still and gotten a second anyway.
Yep, that's one of those baseball quirks. I think he's more than okay with that. I'll say with Venegas coming up, this is a guy that, we talk about streaky, has been one of the streakier hitters on this team, and at times when he's gone cold, has gone ice cold, and there'd maybe be no better development this weekend than if he could really find his way out of one of those heaters.
60 strikeouts on the year for Jesus Venegas. Big breaking ball finds the zone for strike 1. Venegas batting .305, 46 runs on 58 hits, 12 doubles, a triple, 14 home runs, and 43 batted in. He's been the SWAC hitter of the week multiple times this season, the 0-1. Breaking ball misses inside. But at other times, he's gone entire series without recording a hit.
Yeah, he's one of the guys, when you talk about that big swing, that kind of, I don't know if you want to call it the modern baseball approach, that's just trying to launch the thing. He's been one of the peak offenders of it. And there's been times where, like I said, he's just gone ice cold.
1-1. Fastball catches the bottom of the zone, 1-2. One of your faster guys on the team here on second base, Darrell Lee. The outfield playing pretty well back here at Sanford. So a little bloop single might score a run here. But a strike away from getting out of it is Malone. Here's the pitch. Swing and a miss, and down goes Venegas for the 61st time this season. And that's the end for the Wildcats. No runs, no hits, and 2 left. We go to the second no score here on the CatEye Network. To the second we go here in Sanford. No score between Bethune-Cookman and Texas Southern. Jaden Flores leads off for Texas Southern, who stranded runners on the corners in the first. Couldn't bring him around to score. Flores, the freshman, batting .270. 44 runs on 41 hits. Swing and a miss, strike 1. 8 doubles, 2 triples, 10 homers, and 40 RBI. But slugging at .546. And Bryce, of course, we talk mostly about Bethune-Cookman on this show. We are the CatEye Network. But you got to look at this series from the Texas Southern point of view, because there is probably more riding on this series for the Tigers than there is for the Wildcats. They could miss out entirely if they get swept this weekend.
And that was one of our bigger concerns, right, when it comes to wrapping up the regular season title.
Up and in, fastball, check swing, strike 3. Down goes Flores, first strikeout for Sanchez.
Because this is a hungry team. I mean, losing streak or not, you don't want to miss the postseason, right? It's in the heart of every athlete at any level of competition is you want to keep playing. And I don't expect Texas Southern to wither away like if any other team out of it came in here this weekend. So they're going to give you everything they got, whether you're ready for it or not.
Texas Southern comes into today with losing 6 in a row and 8 of their last 9. Got swept in their last 2 series, Southern and Florida A&M, and took 1 out of 3 against Bama State. That was their 1 win in their last 9 games. 2 balls, no strikes now to Evan Jubert. Sanchez deals, fouled straight back, and it's 2-1. Jubert, the junior, batting .309, 28 runs on 38 hit, 8 doubles, a triple, 6 homers, and 32 batted in, slugging .537. Swing and a miss way out in front of that breaking ball, and it's 2-2. Wildcats are playing Jubert very much down the lines. Big space open in the middle of the infield between Poyeto and Venegas. Defensive alignment for the Wildcats as Sanchez deals outside, loads the count up. Sanchez and Escobar, the battery. Fabo on third, Poyeto at short, Venegas at second, Rodriguez at first. In the outfield is Lee, Rivera, and Martinez left to right. Here's the 3-2. Chopper right back up the middle. Oh, what a play! Edwin Sanchez, my goodness! He stuck out the glove behind his back.
Sometimes it just has a way of finding you, right? And we see it all the time. Once you let go of that ball, though, you're a fielder. And sometimes it works out better than others. Sometimes you just throw it out there, and that's the way it works. And maybe a little bit of luck or maybe all skill for Sanchez, but what a play.
Wow. So now quickly 2 away, and here is Tyler Lejeune. Lejeune, the right fielder, a junior, batting .308. 26 runs on 32 hits, 8 doubles, 6 homers, 26 batted in. And it is notable. We were talking to batting coach Derek Cartaya before the game today, and he says that Texas Southern's park is an even shorter porch than this one is out in Sanford, as Sanchez is quickly up 1-2. 330 down the lines, but the power alleys are deep, 385 and 405 to dead center here. Off the inside of the bat, dribbled to short. Jeter Poyeto fires across, and 1-2-3 go the Tigers. We go to the bottom of the second. Still no score here in Sanford between Texas Southern and Bethune-Cookman here on the CatEye Network.
In the bottom of the second, leading it off.
To the bottom of the second we go. No score here between Bethune-Cookman and Texas Southern. Irvin Escobar leads off, and big roar for Irvin Escobar. He's got a lot of family in the stands this week. He is one of the 12 seniors that the Wildcats will honor on Saturday before the game. James Malone back out on the hill for Texas Southern, misses outside. I was talking with Autumn, our social media director, before the game, and I said, I'm going to look back at my scorebook, but I think that Irvin Escobar, as he takes a strike outside corner 1-1, has batted in every position in the lineup except leadoff this year. 2-9.
Just one of those guys, man. He can really, truly give you something at every spot.
Popped up foul outside of first 1-2. Escobar, top 3 in the nation and hardest to strike out. Top 2 in the nation and hardest to strike out. My apologies.
I will say he's the guy in first. I don't remember off the top of my head who it is far and away better, though.
Ground ball, first base side. That's going to dribble under the glove of Jones for a base hit. Well, how do you like that? Irvin Escobar has a shamrock somewhere, because sometimes he just makes really weak contact and ends up finding a hole.
Well, and that's why you see the toughest to strike out, thing up there, and I give him a ton of credit. It's been something he's been consistent about since he's been here. And sometimes, it's weak contact like that leads to outs, but even then, in baseball, that's more productive than swinging and missing every single time. So you 100% would take that on your team.
And I was comparing his numbers from last year to this year. His power numbers are way down from last year in terms of his slugging percentage and his on-base percentage and all of that. But a lot of his outs are productive. They're RBIs, they're sacrifices, they're moving guys over, because there's guys around Escobar in the lineup this year that can do so much more damage and are reliably on base when he comes to the plate. Jorge Gonzalez-Fabo, the sophomore, is behind 0-2 after laying off of that slider. Fabo, last time we were at home, had a walk-off RBI single in the 10th inning of game number 2 against Alabama State over at Jackie Robinson Ballpark. Escobar on first. Nobody out, bottom 2. Malone deals. Swing and a miss. Fabo expecting the off-speed pitch, and he's way out ahead of it. And there is the second strikeout of the game for James Malone, 1 away.
The batter for the Cats, shortstop number 2, Jeter Poyedo.
Now here's Jeter Poyedo,
shortstop,
who really was kept in the lineup for his glove and glove alone through the early part of the season. But the bat has come alive for the Wake Forest transfer of late. He's got his average up above 300 at 303, 26 runs on 43 hits, 9 doubles, 4 triples, 5 homers, and 43 RBI. 1 on, 1 out. That slow breaking ball from Malone is something where if the Wildcats are able to time it up, that's the pitch they're going to start eating.
Really, for Poyedo, I think as much as the bat has taken off, I think the defense has taken a little bit of a back seat, especially in recent weekends. I think he could be due for a little bit of an uptick on that side of the ball.
Fastball upstairs, ball 2. Yeah, he got sat for an entire series against Florida A&M with Jamie Villafane coming in and playing shorts, and had a rough series with the glove against Alabama State, but had a great series with the bat, so Coach Hernandez couldn't take him out of the lineup. 2-0 to Poyedo from the lefty Malone. The 6'3" senior deals. High fly ball, left center field. Phillips, the center fielder, makes the catch near the track on the move. Good contact from Poyedo, but hit it to the deepest part of the park out there to that 385 zone.
Yeah, that was the best struck ball we've seen of the day thus far. Wind a little bit, maybe less roaring than we've seen every weekend we've been here. It's a little tough to tell with the flag kind of wrapped around the pole out there in center field, but it appears to be blowing out to the right field side today.
Well, just very lazily blowing out there towards right field.
Just about every other time we've been out here, it's been ripping out to left.
And that's helped a lot of those fly balls get over the wall. Now 2 away with 1 on, and here's the 9-hole hitter, Sergio Rivera. First pitch, fastball outside, ball 1. Rivera batting .290, the senior. 39 runs on 31 hits, 8 doubles, 3 triples, 3 homers, and 26 batted in. Had one of those homers right here against Florida A&M the last time we were at Sanford Memorial Stadium. Watches a fastball up high 2-0. And a concerning trend, which I didn't get a chance to talk to Coach Hernandez about, was the last time I saw this team when they were playing Stetson, they struck out a ton on high outside fastballs, just chased them over and over and over again. 2-0. Pop fly, foul over the roof. 2-1. And I wonder if that's a symptom of just seeing pitchers hanging out in the mid-80s with the fastball and then all of a sudden going to Stetson and seeing 93, 94, 95.
Certainly don't want it to be a tell or something that teams can go to in the tournament to really mess you up, get you off your guard.
Rivera ahead in the count, 2-1. 1 on, 2 out. Down and away, 3-1. 1 hit for the Wildcats through the first inning and 2/3, but 3 on base. Lee hit by a pitch in the first. Fernandez walked. And then Escobar led off with a seeing eye single to the right side here in inning number 2, followed by a Fabo strikeout and a Poyeto fly out to center. The 3-1 to Rivera. Runner goes, hit in the air towards left field. Garcia initially sat back on it, then comes in to make the catch to end the inning. No runs, a hit, and 1 left. We go to the third. No score here on the CatEye Network. To the third we go. Both teams threatening, neither team able to push a run across in the first 2 innings. Here's Alex Diaz leading off for Texas Southern to begin the third.
Catcher number 7, Alex Diaz.
Diaz, the senior, batting .240, lowest batting average in the starting lineup. Just 7 starts on the year for Diaz. 25 at-bats, 8 runs on 6 hits, 2 doubles, and 3 RBI. Edwin Sanchez remains on the hill. First pitch, a strike down the middle as Diaz pulls back a bunt. Elsewhere around the SWAC, 2 games already done today. Alabama State takes a 2-0 lead over Prairie View A&M. That one in the air, right center field, well struck. Rivera can't get there, it's over his head. And rolls to the wall. Leadoff stand-up double for Alex Diaz. Only his 7th hit of the season. And Texas Southern threatening. I jokingly said to you, Bryce, that the Wildcats don't know how to play unless they're behind, because they've been behind so often early in these games, but there may be a hint of truth to it.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly feels like it could be a part of it. It gets you fired up a little bit. I also just think, again, we talked about it, a lot of times this team has struck in the matter of 2 or 3 innings, right? It hasn't been spread out throughout very many games. It's, I'll put up 5 in the 6th and 3 in the 7th, and that's it. And it still looks like a blowout on paper.
Foul ball, bunted.
Bunted into himself.
Wow. So they're going to call that Jonathan Trejo, the first baseman, kicked the bunt away from Escobar as he was leaving the box, so he is out.
Yeah, and the runner has to go back. That's a pretty welcome spot for the Wildcats there.
We have our first argument. Here's Coach Michael Robertson. Been at Texas Southern for a long time, since 2008. He's a two-time SWAC champion with the Tigers. I don't think I've seen that call all season. That's a pretty rare one.
Yeah, it's like a softball kind of play, right, where it feels like you're one of those ones where you just see the arm come up in the random out, and you're like, oh, was it an illegal? Was it leaving the box? Was it an illegal pitch? One of those things. But again, a lucky break because the sacrifice bunt, which would have resulted in out anyway, you're also forced to leave the runner there, so it goes in as good as a strikeout or anything else.
I'm just going to call that interference. I'm not sure how to classify that. Anyway, one down. Here's Kelton Phillips. He walked his first time up, as Texas Southern turns the order over for the first time. 27 pitches to get through the first time through the order for Edwin Sanchez. Breaking ball strike, 1-1. That Alex Diaz double was the second hit for Texas Southern so far this evening. Fastball inside to the best hitter that Texas Southern has, a .375 average for the junior Kelton Phillips. 5 home runs, 35 RBI. Ground ball, foul outside of third. And escapes out to the bullpen down the left field line. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Alex Diaz, who's on second, does not have a stolen base attempt on the season. And only 3 in the starting lineup for Texas Southern have double-digit stolen base attempts. Sanchez, the 2-2. Fouled away. Late on it was Phillips, and he barely got a piece of it and punched it first base side over the clubhouse. Lazy 5-mile-an-hour wind out to right center here this afternoon. Ground ball, foul outside of third. And we'll do the 2-2 for a 4th time. And as we always say, Bryce, it's important to have the Friday night starter go deep, set a tone, just be in command. As now that one's blowing in 3-2. We talked about it so much with Tanner Bocabello. He maybe wouldn't give you the best stuff on paper, but he'd give you a chance to win the game.
Sanchez has kind of worked his way backwards into that, right? He ended up playing stopper a few times on Sunday to the point where it's like, well, why can't he set the tone?
High fly ball, right center field. Rivera fading back. He makes the catch. Diaz trying to go to third. He'll get there as the throw is cut off. So a sac fly for Kelton Phillips moves Alex Diaz over to third with 2 away. And this is where the interference calls really might come back to bite Texas Southern.
Shortstop number 15, Bryce Hughes.
I also think that's, for Edwin Sanchez, a large part of why he's been so successful and been able to work deep into these games is because he's not afraid to work to contact. He's almost like a better version of what Daniel Gaviria had been for the program the last couple of years, where he just puts the ball on bats and they
high
usually
pop
end up in outs.
on the infield, first base side. Jesus Figueroa is calling for it, fading back onto the grass and makes the catch. So the Wildcats work around a leadoff double. No runs, 1 hit, 1 left. We go to the bottom of the third. Still no score here on the CatEye Network. Wildcats turn the lineup over for the first time as we go to the third. Darrell Lee leads off. He was hit by a pitch to lead off the bottom of the first. Stole second, was stranded there, as James Malone used 33 pitches to get through the first time through the order for the Wildcats. Scoreless game here in Sanford, first of the final 3-game series of the year for Bethune-Cookman and Texas Southern. That one a slider that started outside and kept going outside. Ended up at the backstop, a ball and no strikes. Lots on the line this week. Bethune-Cookman, with 2 wins, will secure the number 1 seed and a regular season championship. 1-0. Line drive, foul down the first baseline. That will go all the way to the corner. 1-1. But if Texas Southern is currently a half game out of the playoffs, the only team outside the playoffs that has a mathematical shot of making it coming into the last weekend. That one low, 2-1. They are in a battle with local rivals Prairie View A&M for that final spot. 2-1. Off the end of the bat, high fly ball, right field, going back Garcia. Track, wall, oh, he makes the catch on the move on the track. Nice play by Garcia to track that one down.
Yeah, got a nice jump on it, stayed steady. Kind of ended up in the right place in the right time. That one kept tailing away. Didn't have much benefit of wind either, just kept going that way. And a really nice job to run it down. That could have very easily been big trouble.
And sometimes when Darrell Lee hits those just way up in the sky, they don't come down, and they just keep going over the wall.
Yeah, there were certainly games that we talked about the wind that we've been out here this season where that would have been long gone.
Here's Andre Martinez popped up on the infield, the first of 2 infield pop-ups in the first inning. Pop up to the first baseman, Trejo. He takes a slider strike, 0-1. Malone working quickly here, and that's in the exact same spot, 0-2. So for the second straight time, Andre Martinez watches the first 2 strikes, and he's behind 0-2. Off the end of the bat, punch to the first base side, and foul out of play.
Andre Martinez, maybe more so than any other Wildcat in this lineup, isn't exactly one to shorten his swing when he's down 0-2, right? He still can, even with a swing like that, right, where it doesn't look like his hardest, he can flick it out over that wall like it's nothing.
Ground ball, hit straight at Trejo at first. He'll take it himself, 2 away.
Still, I mean, even though we respect the bat of Andre Martinez, no matter where he is in a count, it is certainly something worth watching as we head into the tournament. He can certainly do a lot better for himself if he could flip it the other way and start these ABs up 2-0 or be a little bit more patient. He's going to get plenty of opportunities to take balls with as careful as he's going to be worked when we get up to that tournament.
Now with 2 away, here's Jorge Rodriguez. Popped out to the second baseman, Jones, his first time up. First pitch outside to the righty, ball 1. Last appearance for James Malone on the year was last weekend against UAPB. Line drive, left field. That's going to tail down, drop in, and one hop the wall. But it was hit so strongly that Jorge Rodriguez just has to turn and go back to first with a long single.
Yeah, that might be the hardest hit ball you see all weekend. I mean, that got to the wall about as fast as you can. He just got a little bit over top of it, so it kind of dies, doesn't get up in the air, doesn't have that launch angle to it that you would for one that leaves the park. It's about as long of a single as you're going to see. I mean, that thing was absolutely smoked.
Malone, as I mentioned last time, he started the Sunday game against UAPB, a game that Texas Southern lost 19-14. Jose Fernandez watches a slider outside on low, ball 1. He only went 2 innings, gave up 6 runs on 7 hits. Struck out 3, walked 1. Line drive, center field, coming in Phillips. He dives and he lost the ball. It pops out of his glove. Headed towards third is Fernandez, and he is out. Wow. Well, that was anticlimactic. Jorge Rodriguez, not the fastest guy on the team, tried to stretch it going from first to third, and he was thrown out. So Fernandez gets a single. No runs, 2 hits, 1 left, and we go to the top of the 4th. No score here on the CatEye Network. To the 4th we go here at the Jack. There's 45 minutes to get through the first 3 innings. Neither team really putting in any sort of offensive threat. The Tigers have stranded 2 on third. The Wildcats have stranded 2 on second. First pitch, a strike from Edwin Sanchez to Jaden Jones, who singled to center his first time up, was caught in the middle of the inning-ending double play back in the first. Edwin Sanchez comes into the game riding a really nice hot streak as he gets a swing and miss at a splitter, changeup, something like that, outside. And it's 0-2 to Jones. Last time out at Grambling State, 5 innings in the start, gave up a run on 6 hits, struck out 10. Swing and a miss. And there's his second strikeout of the night as he gets Jaden Jones to go down. Jones had no idea.
I think one of the funniest parts about Sanchez this season is he's had 2 double-digit strikeout performances on the year. There was a 10 strikeout game and a 13. Both of them came in 5 innings.
Yeah.
It's just he'll come out and he'll start striking guys out from the gate. He'll give you 2 or 3 in the first, and you know it's just go time. And then most of the time in all of his other outings, he'll still be calm, he'll still be great, but they just don't come at that same clip.
Fastball inside corner, swing and miss by Damian Garcia, who grounded into that 1-4-3 double play to end the first. And Joel Corey's that kind of pitcher, too, where he'll all of a sudden give you 10, 12, 15 strikeouts in 6 or 7 innings and then just kind of be workmanlike the rest of the time out there. Corey threw a no-hitter earlier this year.
Yeah, Sanchez and really Corey as well. You can both kind of feel it right from the start, right, if they've got that strikeout stuff or not.
Dribbler right in front of home plate. Sanchez charging, throws to first in time. That's 3 defensive putouts already for Edwin Sanchez, and he started a double play.
Sure, you can go weekends without seeing any as a pitcher. It's, again, a credit to being ready to be the fielder. It's a part of the job that goes unheralded a lot, is the ability to get off your spot, be able to flip that switch immediately from being a defensive player like anybody else, and he's done it well.
I think one of the benefits of Sanchez being as short as he is, clocking in at just 5'7", low center of gravity, can get down there, field those balls efficiently, whereas someone who is, 6'3", 6'4", may have more trouble bending down to get those balls hit right in front of him. Fastball up and in, strike 1 to Jaden Flores, who struck out his first time up to begin the top of the second.
Another thing that Sanchez always does so well, and I wish we had a full analytical department that we could see stuff like this, but the first pitch strikes has always been something that he's excelled at. He just loves firing it into the zone. Not a guy that's going to nibble a ton. Of course, when he has, it's gotten him in trouble, but he's just firing them in there. And Texas Southern and a lot of these teams you'll see, like Southern or even Jackson State, will come in. And if you can get ahead early, they're going to keep swinging. They're not going to go away from that mentality. And so you can really put yourself in a good position, which is probably why you're seeing the hitters meeting over there now to try to calm everybody down and maybe dial that back a hair.
The one thing as well that Sanchez has really been good about is walks. His most walks in an appearance was at Jackson State, and the one where his really worst appearance of the year where he gave up 6 runs in 2 1 2/3 when he walked 5. But other than that, only one time above 3 walks in an appearance all season. High fly ball, center field. Rivera barely has to move. Sticks the glove up to end the inning. 1, 2, 3, go Texas Southern. We go to the bottom of the 4th. Still no score here on the CatEye Network. Still deadlocked at 0 here as we go to the bottom of the 4th in Sanford. Jesus Venegas, who struck out to end the 1st and strand 2 runners, leads off for the Wildcats here in the 4th. That really slow slider for James Malone is really fooling these Wildcat hitters so far. 0-1. I mean, the Wildcats against Stetson last week had that really good inning where they scored 4 runs and looked for all the world like they were going to win that game. They did it against a submariner right-hander as Venegas way out in front of that changeup, 1-2, who topped out at maybe 78 miles an hour. And it, multiple times threw breaking balls down to the 60s. And the Wildcats just sat on it and whacked him. And I was talking to Evan Weston, who does the play-by-play over at Stetson after the game, and he says, well, that one's grounded softly towards the left-hand side. Charging is the third baseman, Flores. He makes a low throw to first, 1 away. I was talking with Evan, and he said, yeah, that's the hardest we've seen that guy hit all year. Normally, batters don't know what to do with him. And I said, we see tens of those guys in the spot per year. We know how to deal with them.
Yep, exactly. My point is we, unlike a lot of leagues where it's kind of starting to die out, even all the way up to the majors, right? You don't see it much anymore because velocity is everything. We still see a ton of them down here. It just, I can't tell you why it's recruited that way, or if guys just filter their way down here, but we do. We see a ton, and they've hit just about all of them.
High pop, shallow center, first pitch swinging from Irvin Escobar, and that won't even make center field. Wow, that landed in the infield and was caught by Jones.
Yeah, I'm with you. I thought that was headed, 20, 30 feet out into center field, but no, it just completely went upstairs.
Well, I watched Phillips, the center fielder, start to come in on it, and then he put his glove up.
That is third baseman, number 29, George.
It didn't go anyway.
Gonzalez.
Quickly 2 away on just 5 pitches in the inning for Malone, and here's Jorge Gonzalez-Febo, struck out his first time up. The second of the 2 strikeouts so far for Malone. Outside ball 1. We talk about where the Wildcats can fall afoul, especially when we get to the tournament, and where they fell afoul last year. It's letting guys like Malone with high ERAs and not telegraphed pitches, but pitches where if you sit back on it and time it up, you should be hitting it well. Just let them get easy outs, quick innings, and hang around in these games. We saw Jackson State eat the Wildcats up with just 3 pitchers over 3 games in the tournament last year. 2-0, outside 3-0.
And a lot of that starts with, kind of what we applaud guys like Darrell Lee for, which is you take your hits when you can, but you also take a hit by pitch, and you also take a lot of walks. And there's plenty of guys in this Wildcats club that do that really well. And, again, feels like more often than not made them pay for it.
3-0, down Broadway, 3-1. You look at some of Malone's outings. You talked about the 2 innings, gave up 6 against Pine Bluff. Against Alcorn, second to last appearance, swing and a miss from Fabo at its 3-2. Gave up 6 runs on 9 hits and 3 2/3. In a game that Texas Southern won 20-9, 3-2. Swing and a miss. Fabo goes down for the second time tonight on strikes. At 1-2-3 go the Wildcats. We go to the 5th. Still deadlocked at 0 here on the CatEye Network.
No score.
Already to the 5th here in Sanford. Pitchers duel, no score. Here between Texas Southern and Bethune-Cookman. First of the final series of the regular season. Bethune-Cookman trying to win the regular season title. Texas Southern trying to get into the playoffs. And there is a scenario, Brace. If we take 2 out of 3 this weekend, Prairie View drops all 3 to Alabama State, which seems likely after today, and Southern and Jackson split, as in nobody sweeps either way, we'll play Texas Southern again in the 1-8 matchup on Wednesday.
And shoot, with the way that tournament sometimes works out, winners, losers bracket, all that mess, you can end up seeing them multiple times throughout the span of just that week at the tournament.
Swing and a miss, and down goes Evan Jubert on the cutter. Third strikeout for Edwin Sanchez, and here's Tyler
Lejeune.
Lejeune.
For the Tigers, right fielder number 46, Tyler Lejeune.
I don't know where my mind was there. Tigers, Texas Southern.
Well, Grambling had a Tiger last
Tiger
year.
Borum, yeah. I'm glad we're not going to see him again.
Oh, boy, yeah.
he was a nightmare.
His tournament run was insane.
That one gets to the backstop, a ball and no strikes on Lejeune. who grounded out to short 2 and the second his first time up. Southern and Jackson State have started the first of their 3-game series, a very important series. Fastball called, strike outside corner, 1-1. 1-0 Southern, top of the first. 2 on, 2 out over there. We'll keep tabs on that one throughout the night. Pop foul, 1-2. Other series this weekend include the all-important Alabama State Prairie View Series, which Bama State's already up 2-0 in. Arkansas Pine Bluff at Alabama A&M, Grambling State at Valley. Florida A&M at Alcorn State. As that one, gets to the backstop again. And Escobar didn't even offer at it. Wasn't close to it.
That's
2 balls, 2 strikes.
That's 2 now for the last, call it 5 pitches or so that have just completely sailed out.
Florida A&M at Alcorn State. Because Alcorn only has 1 conference win, you assume that FAMU's going to sweep out there. 2-2. Which is why the Wildcats need to win this series to secure the number 1 seed. If we had played the 3rd game against Grambling and won it, we would only have needed to win 1 game this weekend. 3-2. Swing and a miss. Ran the fastball in on the hands, and Lejeune goes down.
This is kind of the thing we mentioned earlier with Sanchez. It didn't start in the first inning this time. It took us until 5, but now we're just seeing the strikeouts coming. And a lot of that, I think, in this case has been Texas Southern starting to get a little liberal with the swings, a lot of big ones, a lot of them in quick succession. But, I mean, he is now just pumping them in there.
Now 2 down, and here's Alex Diaz, who had the hardest hit ball for Texas Southern so far. A 1-hop double to the right center field wall back in the 3rd. Was stranded on 3rd. 2 away in the 5th on 2 strikeouts. 1-0 from Sanchez. Fastball right down the middle. 1-1. We were talking to the coaching staff, and they said they really tried to get that 3rd game in against Grambling, but after all the weather that happened over in Louisiana last weekend, the field was just unplayable. The outfield was so soggy. The Coach Cartaya told me the ball would hit the outfield grass and just stop.
Yeah, it's like a plugged ball in golf. It just kind of plunks there.
High fastball in on the hands, swing and a miss from Diaz, 2-2.
But they probably could have gotten that in, I think, if there had been more effort from the home team to find some more alternatives. It's a less important game for them as it was for the Wildcats in this case. So maybe make the best effort in the world to try to find alternate sites, alternate options. The coach was a little frustrated about that one.
2-2. Swing and a miss, and down goes Diaz. Sanchez strikes out the side. We go to the bottom of the 5th. Still no score here in Sanford on the CatEye Network.
The bottom of the fifth, leading off for the
Jeter Poyeto leads off the bottom of the fifth for Bethune-Cookman. After they went 1, 2, 3 in the bottom of the fourth, and the last 9 Texas Southern batters have been sat down in order by Edwin Sanchez. If you had asked me what kind of game we were going to see first night out with the 2 Sunday starters going for both of these teams, I would not have said a pitcher's duel, but that's what we have this evening, Bryce.
I mean, man, it's one of those things you never want to say, but that thing has moved, man. Everybody's just swinging. Everything is, some quick ABs, both from quick free-pitch strikeouts or a lot of stuff put in contact. It's been crazy. Lightning fast.
And not a lot of solid contact either. I mean, the Diaz double and then the Fernandez single for the Wildcats. The 2 hardest hit balls we've seen tonight. Everything else, kind of soft contact. Pop-ups, soft ground balls. We've seen a couple double plays.
We're going to make the Wildcats prove what we talked about earlier on in the program. All it takes is 1 inning, right? Well, it's trended more and more like that might be all it is, especially with only 56 pitches now for Malone on the mound. I mean, he's got plenty of game left.
Especially since the 2 games we have pitched out of 4 for Texas Southern. 3 balls, no strikes. There's a strike to Jeter Poyeto, who flew out to center his first time up. Went 65 pitches against Incarnate Word back on the 23rd of February, and then at UTSA on the 9th of March went 96. In the air, center field. Phillips tracking back towards the wall, and he's going to watch it sail into the parking lot. Adios, amigos. Deadlocked no longer. Jeter Poyeto, his 6th home run of the season, gives the Wildcats a 1-0 lead.
Man, what a bomb. And again, not your windiest day out here either, so that was all Poyeto. That was sent well over the wall out there in dead center field, about as dead center as you get. 385 out here. We talked a little bit about what Rickwood might look like next week. Talked about 400 out there. I think that one would have been gone to 400.
Yeah.
Wow. We don't see a lot to dead center.
No, and even to the jack.
Oh,
with
hold
the
on.
wind.
Somebody threw the ball back in from. There's a high school game or a little league type game going on in the field behind us. Looks like somebody tossed that one back over.
That's funny. A parent or somebody watching over there.
Hopefully, it didn't hit somebody.
Well, 1-0. Excuse me. Well, 1-0 Bethune-Cookman. Here's Sergio Rivera, who flew out to left on a really nice play by Garcia. That was the one that was all the way toward that 330 sign by the foul pole, and Garcia had to track it down.
Poyeto in that at bat, right? You get ahead early, you gotta throw a strike, and when that happens, a lot of times it's one that's just fired down the middle, is just kind of a calm you down type pitch, and he made him pay.
Breaking ball outside, 2 balls, no strikes. And I wonder if the Wildcats will take that and maybe settle down offensively, start to work more of these counts. I mean, I'm talking about Andre Martinez, who's been 0-2, 0-2, and 2 soft outs in his 2 plate appearances. Rivera lines that one foul left field. Woo! Look out, Coach Hernandez. He's already taken a couple of bruises this season, Johnny.
He tells us so much about how he's very much enjoyed taking over that third base coach position. Well, it's plays like that where you might be rethinking it a little bit, head on a swivel.
Shout out to Coach Carballo, by the way, former Bethune-Cookman. Line drive. Oh, what a catch! Flores showing off the web gem at third to rob Sergio Rivera of extra bases.
And we give a ton of credit to the fielding of this Texas Southern team. A lot of times we don't give the former, we still call them West teams a lot, the former West teams their due. But Texas Southern one that comes into this game second in fielding percentage in the conference, right? They're solid out there, and that's something we a lot of times take for granted here.
First pitch, breaking ball inside corner to Darrell Lee. 1 out, 1 in the inning on the Jeter Poyeto home run. And it's odd not seeing Bethune-Cookman at the top of those rankings as they have been for the last couple of years. Lee way out ahead of that breaking ball, 0-2. And missed down on the fielding percentage crown last season by 1/10 of a percentage point, and then 2 years ago won the fielding percentage crown in the SWAC during the regular season. And Darrell Lee goes down swinging nowhere near that off speed. This year, the Wildcats, .959 their fielding percentage, still very good. but slipped to 4th in the league behind Jackson State, Texas Southern, FAMU.
Now batting for Bethune-Cookman.
We knew that coming in, right? The message from Coach Hernandez coming in this season was, hey, we're going to take a step back defensively, but we're going to make up for it in offense. And boy, have they ever. Some of those spots, like second base, the revolving door at first.
Martinez puts one in the air, left field, and Garcia just turns and watches it fly into the Little League game. Adios, amigos. Number 17 on the year for Andre Martinez. He wants us to never leave this ballpark. He loves it here.
No doubt, and we don't see a whole lot of no-doubters at this level of baseball. With the bat flip that Andre Martinez just whipped out there, that's about as no-doubt as it gets. He chucked that bat a good 20 feet up into the air. He knew it, and he's fired up, and the Wildcats are feeling it, and this is what we talk about, right? You mentioned maybe this is an opportunity now that you kind of get a little bit of juice as a staff, a little bit of juice as a dugout there, and boy, has it ever happened. I mean, that one was crushed, and now who knows? You might have to look out below.
The umpires are meeting inside of the pitcher's mound, and I wonder if they're talking about that bat flip, because I saw the home plate umpire, Robert Knox-Reyes, kind of give Andre Martinez a dirty look after he threw the bat away and trotted down towards first base. I wonder if they're just going to issue a warning here.
Well, nothing officially called either way. We don't see a hand motion either way. Well, maybe he's going to have a little conversation with Texas Southern's coaching staff.
I'm not sure what about.
No, I thought for sure it was. I agree with you. I thought it was going to be some kind of sportsmanship warning or something. Not a technical, we don't have that here.
Maybe he's talking to the coach about why he didn't issue a warning. This is one of the things where, we're here in Sanford in the press box, and we're in a closed press box. We can't hear. So when we're set up behind home plate at Jackie Robinson, sometimes we can hear the conversations that are happening behind the home plate and have a better idea. But right now we have no idea the conversation going on between Robert Knox-Reyes, the home plate umpire, and head coach Michael Robertson. Michael Robertson, a bit of a SWAC legend. Two-time SWAC champion, has been at the helm of Texas Southern since 2008, played at 2 different SWAC schools as a player. But he cannot get over Bethune-Cookman. The only time these teams have met before today was in the SWAC tournament last year, and the Wildcats went away 16-0 winners in the third game of that tournament, the elimination game. Curveball outside, ball 1 to Jorge Rodriguez, who singled to left field his first time up. Then popped up on the infield, and that time that he singled, he was on first when Jose Fernandez singled to center. Ball that popped out of the glove of Phillips on a dive, and Rodriguez tried to go to third and was way thrown out by Phillips in center field. 2-0, outside 3-0.
Well, pitch count or not, it feels like we might be coming to the end of the leash for Malone out there. Just starting to see the command waver a little bit.
Line drive, base hit center field. And it doesn't all have to be home runs. Sometimes you just need to do that. As it goes in the gap, going to second, trying to stretch it. Here's the relay. And Rodriguez is in there. He stumbled a bit going around first, and I thought he might be thrown out on the base paths again, but he's in there with a stand-up double.
Yeah, and when you say the command's wavering, it doesn't always mean with balls and walks, right? That's one where it's just left hanging again. He had no choice down so far in the count. You got to fire one in there, and it's another really hard hit ball from Rodriguez. It's his second of the day. And now I'm not sure if we're going to make a change here or not, but again, it feels like we're probably at the end of that leash.
If you look at the offensive numbers that Texas Southern has put up this season, they are gaudy, gaudy, gaudy. Last week, they had Florida A&M. They lost 10-1, 7-8, and 15-4. But before that, they put 15 runs on Southern, 8 runs on Southern, and 2 losses. Against Prairie View, they won 13-9, 15-5, and 12-2 in those 3 games. Going back to some non-conference scores, 18-1 against Incarnate Word. 14-10, 23-12 in the first SWAC series of the season against Grambling State. This is a team that can hit the ball with the best of them. We talked about it on the Hail Wildcats radio podcast this week. They're second in the league in batting average coming in.
Yeah, it's traditional of this program, right, to be that kind of offensive team. very west forward. A lot of times they were kind of, especially in recent years, they had been at the top of that leaderboard when it came to the West. They hit the ball better than just about anybody else, and that was usually all you needed.
James Malone stays in to face Jose Fernandez, who's walked and singled up the middle in his 2 plate appearances. As we have a ball escaping the bullpen out the left field line. There is action going on down there. A Texas Southern Tiger throwing in the bullpen, a left-hand pitcher. 2 outs in the inning, 2 in on the 2 solo shots. Fernandez waves at the slider. And if I'm Malone, I would just keep throwing that slider until it proves ineffective, because the Wildcats have had no idea. And it's when he's thrown the fastball that the Wildcats have jumped on it. 1-1. Fernandez golfs one sky high, shallow left. Going back is the shortstop Hughes. He makes the catch to end the inning. 2 runs, 3 hits, 1 left. And we go to the 6th. The Wildcats finally break this game open. 2-0 Bethune-Cookman here on the CatEye Network.
After 5 innings.
We go to the top of the 6th here in Sanford. The Wildcats use 2 solo shots by Gita Poyeto and Andre Martinez to take a 2-0 lead. Here in the first game of the series against Texas Southern, the batter is the 9-hole hitter Jonathan Trejo, who is out on batter's interference his first time up. Swing and a miss, and it's 0-2.
Big swings from Texas Southern, man. A lot of times they've been so far behind everything, too. Just late commitments to swing.
Well, that time way out ahead as Sanchez took some speed off it. Now it's 1 ball, 2 strikes as that one misses outside. 9 straight have gone down for Texas Southern. Popped up, foul territory, first base side out of play. Count holds 1-2 for the last 6 on strikeouts for Edwin Sanchez, who's up to 59 pitches. Sanchez hasn't gone over 100 pitches this year, but has been up over the 90 mark a couple of times. 96, 98, 96 again, and 94 the last 2 of the last 3 outings for Edwin Sanchez. So he's got some more gas in the tank, especially when he's doing stuff like that. 4 straight strikeouts across the inning break for Edwin Sanchez.
I mean, shoot, who knows? He may prove our theory wrong about him doing it in 5, because he's, again, just 65 pitches for him. He's got plenty of life left in this game. And the way he's been throwing and the way Texas Southern's been swinging, I mean, I wouldn't put it past him putting in 4 more at least.
Kelton Phillips squares the bunt. First pitch strike. Phillips walked his first time up, was stranded on third back in the first, and then flew out to center field in the third. 0-1. High fly ball, first base line. That goes foul. And it's 0-2. You got to be careful when pitching to a team like this. You don't want to get overconfident, try and make someone look silly with a big breaking ball, and it gets crushed over the wall, and all of a sudden Texas Southern dugout's fired up, and they're right back in the game. 0-2. Outside, wastes one, 1-2. A team in the Texas Southern Tigers who has hit 60 home runs this season. Soft dribbler, first base side, that's going to stay fair. Sanchez off the mound, and he throws it away. First error of the game charged to Bethune-Cookman. That's Edwin Sanchez, and he's been so good defensively that time. He just works a little bit too fast, the brain ahead of the body.
Yeah, that's a tough one. And we talked about how good he's been as a fielder. That was probably the most challenging of the plays that he's had to make, if you want to exclude the kind of fluky maybe catch behind the back, is having to go all the way out there trying to beat the runner. You see him out of the peripheral vision, running down the line, have to try to make that. He did most of the work, but a lot of times it comes down to what you might consider the easy part, at least from our vantage upstairs. It kind of all piles up, and you only got a split second to make the play, and that one just not quite where it needed to be.
That was the first base runner for Texas Southern since the Alex Diaz double back in the third. Now Bryce Hughes stands in, and a sac bunt his first time up, and then popped out on the infield in the third. He bunts it, foul, third base side, 0-1. Kelton Phillips is someone that Texas Southern does trust to run. 22 steals on 27 attempts. Second on the team in that category behind this man at the plate, Bryce Hughes, who's got 44 steals on 49 attempts. The only other Tiger in double-digit stolen base attempts is Jaden Flores, 17 of 18. But they're very much like the Wildcats in that regard. Only have a couple of guys who you trust really to steal bases. Everybody else just does it with the bat. Edwin Sanchez being very careful with Kelton Phillips on there at first. He reached on an error by Sanchez after Trejo struck out to begin the inning. 1 on, 1 out. Wildcats holding on to a 2-0 lead. Off speed outside. A ball and a strike to Bryce Hughes. Hughes just a freshman batting .346 for Texas Southern. The 1-1. Swung on and dribbled back to the right-hand side of the mound. That's going to be in no man's land. The throw to first, not in time.
It was a valiant effort to even make it as close as it was by Venegas. I thought we were going to see another put-out attempt by Sanchez there, but that one rolled a little bit out of where he's able to get to as a fielder.
Well, Texas Southern riding a little bit of puck luck, if I could borrow a term from hockey, with the playoffs going on right now. Two little swivelers to the right-hand side of the mound, and they've got 2 on with 1 out there. Best scoring chance since the first inning.
I mean, you talked about it. With a team like this, a lot of times that's all they need is a little bit of juice like that. Get them fired up, and now you got to look out because you're just one big swing or a couple of littler ones to get right back in.
Jones, ground ball to short. On to second for 1. Back to first. Double play to end the inning. That was hit very hard right at Poyeto. That might be the easiest double play the Wildcats turn all year. It's their second inning-ending double play of the night, and it keeps Texas Southern off the board. No runs, a hit, and 1 error and 2 left. And we go to the bottom of the 6th. 2-0 Wildcats here on the CatEye Network. To the bottom of the sixth we go. There is some end-of-season banter going on in the press box between innings here. It's a long year. And when we finally come to these back end of the season type series, as Jesus Venegas leads off against Malone, first pitch, breaking ball strike. There's always a kind of sense of relief, especially once we get to the tournament. It's like, okay, get through this one, and then we get a couple months off for summer before we start the whole carousel again with volleyball in August.
Oh, yeah. The tournament a lot of times for us feels like a vacation because it's just one sport to focus on. We get to do what we do. We get to hang out, have fun. It's always competitive. It's always a fun one. Based on everything else we do day to day, we don't have to worry about somebody else in action on the road or home games back home.
Chopper right in front of the plate, foul ball. 1-2 on Venegas, who struck out in the first and grounded out to third in the fourth. We talked about the swings for Jesus Venegas between being one of the hottest hitters in the country at times and then as cold as ice some other times. I mean, he 3 times this season he's been SWAC hitter of the week because sometimes you just can't get him out. 1-2 from Malone. Swing and a miss. Second strikeout of the game for Jesus Venegas. And other times, I mean, he looks like this. He looked like this against Stetson, too, with 4 strikeouts.
The problem is not the sheer fact that it's a strikeout. It's a swing like that. I mean, you're fishing for something well out of the zone. You've committed to swing well before the ball is where it needs to be. And you just kind of look silly. I mean, falling out of the box on that one. And it kind of comes with the territory when you've got a hitter like that. I mean, again, we know what he's capable with on the other side, but it's easy to get frustrated.
Irvin Escobar, 1 for 2, breaking ball outside. I've noticed that Diaz, behind the plate, is really trying to sell on that pitch frame, especially outside and low. Swing and a tipper back into the glove from Escobar, 1-1. Escobar grounded a seeing eye signal to the first base side in the second, then popped up on the infield in the fourth.
Shit, it feels like they set up outside on just about every other pitch. There's another one.
That one way outside in the opposite batter's box. No chance to frame that up for Diaz, but he is moving that glove. And it's a trend I've seen a lot of the majors over the past couple of years, too. Pitch framing, the art of pitch framing as a subtle art has kind of been lost. That one golfed into shallow center. Phillips ranges forward, makes the catch 2 away.
But it's setting up so far outside from the start in a lot of ways is getting Malone a little bit in trouble because he's missing pretty bad on the outside. Of course, you don't want to hang something. You don't want to set up over middle, and then, see it tank the other way. But when he's been missing, a lot of it has been on that side, and it doesn't help when you're already just trying to pick that corner.
Now here's Jorge Gonzalez-Fabo, 0 for 2 with 2 strikeouts. Wildcats with just a 2-0 lead. He squares to bunt, pulls back on the inside corner. We were a little shocked to see Malone come out for the inning after giving up 2 home runs in the 5th. But he's come back and knuckled down, a strikeout, a soft pop-up, and now Fabo, who he struck out twice. 1-0. That one slashes through the zone, a big slider.
You see that a lot from, again, I'll say that the West teams, the former West teams with the pitching staffs that aren't quite as robust as some of the Bama States or FAMU. The guys will look off for one inning and just kind of grit through it, and then you look up and they've retired 6 straight or they've gone through 2 clean innings, and you say, well, what happened? Well, sometimes it could be your own fault, swinging at things, but other times I give them credit. This is one here where just kind of knuckled down, like you said.
2-1, way out ahead of that off-speed was Fabo, 2-2. And a trend I've noticed throughout the SWAC this season, and even to the traditional pitching powers of the conference, Alabama State, Florida A&M, Jackson State to a certain degree, that one low 3-2, as the rotations or the bullpen staffs are a lot shallower this year across the league than we've typically seen.
And we even thought here that it's kind of like that for a while, and then we look up and it feels like we're blessed with how many arms are trustworthy out of this bullpen based on, Bama State and FAMU each had 2 guys was all they trusted the whole weekend.
3-2. Ball 4, and the inning continues for Bethune-Cookman as Fabo is on for the first time today with a walk. That'll bring up the home run hitter. Jeter Poyeto led off the 5th with that solo shot to center. Other than that, he flew out to center on a ball that just missed the wall at the deepest part of the park at the 385 side and left center. And if there's going to be a move to the bullpen for Texas Southern in this inning, it probably would have been now with Poyeto, Rivera, Lee, Martinez coming up. But with 2 outs, The coaching staff trusting James Malone to get out of it with Fabo on first after a 2-out walk. Lefty to righty, here's the first pitch. Breaking ball, caught the inside corner, strike one. A little bit shrug of the shoulders from Jeter Poyeto. He didn't agree with that, but he's behind in the count now. Pitching coach Shane Human for Texas Southern choosing to leave Malone out there at up over 85, trending towards 90 pitches now. The 0-1, runner goes. It's a pitch out, and the throw down to second is way wide. And into second with a stolen base is Jorge Gonzalez Fabo. And Fabo should count himself lucky a little bit. Only 13 steals on the season now for him. Not the fastest guy in the world. And that was a true pitch out. Catcher was standing up ready for it. If that throw down to second is better, he's out by a mile. That ball was out of the zone for the pitch out, so 1-1. Throw back to second. Jones dropped the ball. Fabo slides back in there safely. That was a big lead for Jorge there.
Feeling himself a little bit.
But to have success in the tournament, the Wildcats are going to have to be a little bit more aggressive stealing bases like that, because sometimes, you're in a game where it's 2-0 or 3-1 or 4-5 or whatever in the later innings, and maybe one manufactured run is all you need to close out a game. Low and inside, 2-1 on Poyeto. So I think we'll start to see the Wildcats be more aggressive, even as we go into the later games of this series and maybe in the tournament as well, play a little bit faster lineups. We might see Villafane come in to play short.
We talk about that small ball. Rick Woodfield is 400 to dead center, 399 to left center, 392 to right center, 332 down each line. So it is deep in that middle part of the park. And we've seen a lot of home runs for the Wildcats in that left center area. I mean, they're going to have to get a hold of it. So you might have to see more small ball.
The 2-1 is down and in. 3 balls, 1 strike to Poyeto. I mean, a couple of guys we haven't seen recently, Peter Vasquez, Michael Rodriguez, 2 faster guys. And even Ray Plasencia, the backup first baseman, profiles as faster on the base paths than Jorge Rodriguez does. Here's the 3-1 to Poyeto with Fabo on second and 2 down. Poyeto watches one upstairs in the zone. 3 balls, 2 strikes. You could see Jeter Poyeto grimacing. He wanted to go after that one, I think, but I think the hold sign was on for Coach Hernandez there. Three, 2 outs. Wildcats looking to improve on a 2-0 lead here in the bottom of the 6th. Off the end of the bat and popped up to right. And that one's caught by Lejeune. And that'll end the inning. No runs, no hits, 1 left. The only base runner walked to Fabo. And we go to the 7th. Wildcats holding on to a 2-0 lead here on the CatEye Network. To the 7th we go. Wildcats up 2-0 here. First of a 3-game series from Sanford as the sun sets in the western horizon. Floodlights are on here at historic Sanford Memorial Stadium. The Wildcats have used 2 double plays to get out of the 2 big jams they've been in so far this evening. Edwin Sanchez remains on the mound as he throws pitch number 74 of his outing. No runs on 4 hits, 6 strikeouts, 1 walk for Sanchez so far. But he's behind 2-0 to Damian Garcia, who grounded into that 1-4-3 double play back in the first and grounded out to the pitcher again in the 4th. Fastball outside corner, strike 1, 2-1 the count to Garcia. Damian Garcia, redshirt junior from San Luis, Arizona, transfer from the community college level. Upstairs on the fastball for Sanchez, 3-1. I think the worst part about this press box specifically, Bryce, is you can't see the home bullpen from where we are, so we don't know if anybody's warming up down there. 3-1. Foul back to the screen. Garcia just got a piece of that cutter, and it's 3-2.
With 2 more to come, and potentially trying to save guys as we get ready for what is always a slog of a tournament. You need all hands on deck. Definitely want to see if Sanchez can go as deep as possible here. No rush to go to the pen.
Fastball in on the hands, fouled away. That's been the strikeout pitch for Edwin Sanchez tonight, that fastball inside. Kawan Brazil still continues to warm up down there in the Texas Southern bullpen, as he has for the last 3 innings or so. Line drive, base hit over the shortstop's head into left field. Leadoff single for Damian Garcia. I'll say, give you one thing about Texas Southern. I mean, they've got the swagger that you often don't see from teams in this league. Teams can be very serious. I'm talking about your Alabama States, your Jackson States. And I guess it comes from the top, right? Coaches are sometimes a little bit loose with the guys, and Coach Hernandez can be a little bit of that, father, big brother type coach and let the guys loose a little bit. But he knows when to rein it in. What really struck me, specifically, when we saw Florida A&M and Alabama State here this year, is the almost absence of emotion that those 2 teams played with.
FAMU in particular, rivalry series on the road.
Ground ball, foul outside of third, just barely skipped to the left-hand side of the base. A ball and 2 strikes on Jaden Flores, who's 0 for 2 strikeout pop-out.
It's easy for Texas Southern right in the position they're in, just fighting for their playoff lives, that if things got out of hand, you worry that you lose some of that when that turns into nerves and it turns into anxiety. But they're gonna have to bring this kind of energy to the park if they want a chance.
Swing and a miss. High fastball up by the face mask, and Jaden Flores goes down. 7th strikeout for Edwin Sanchez, all swinging.
Making that one final push. We talked about it. Him in that running for pitcher of the year. Leads the SWAC in wins. He's up there on just about every leaderboard, top 5 in just about every category you want as a pitcher. Not sure if he'd be the favorite as of right at this moment, but he has certainly made a case.
Does lead the SWAC in wins at 8-1. Is 4th in ERA among qualified pitchers. 0-1. Upstairs, ball 1 to Evan Joubert. Joubert, 0 for 2, struck out of the 5th. Ground out spectacularly back to Sanchez on the mound of the 2nd. That was the one where Sanchez put the glove behind his back as he was falling over in his backswing from his pitching motion to catch that ball. Off the end of the bat, foul straight back over the screen, 1-2. To Joubert. Sanchez just 15th in innings pitched at 62 2/3. 1-2. Upstairs 2-2. But he's given up the second fewest runs among qualified pitchers in the conference. The only one below him is Eric Elliott of Jackson State, who I think is the front runner for pitcher of the year right now. 2-2. Ground ball to third. On to second for one. Back to first. Oh, and the ball gets away. Well, they get the lead ran. So there's 2 away in the inning. Garcia out 5-4. And Joubert reaches on a fielder's choice. Almost a third inning-ending double play of the night.
Yeah, that's one of those harder double plays to turn that you can have, right? It's hit all the way over there in the hole at third. So it's a long throw over, which takes a lot more time, puts a lot more pressure on the second baseman to get it over to first as quickly as possible. Texas Southern got enough wheels over there to make it that really close play, and it's just kind of tough, and you're rushing a little bit, and you end up kind of throwing a little bit wide.
Now with 2 away, here's Tyler Lejeune. 0 for 2, grounded out to short and struck out in his 2 plate appearances. I think the ball beat Joubert to first. 1-0. Off the end of the bat, little dribbler towards the shortstop, and it's over the head of Poyeto and into shallow left. A little bloop single, and there's 2 on with 2 out. For the first time really since the first inning, Texas Southern threatening here.
Well, really, both of the major times where Texas Southern has been that threat, of course, even, I guess, last inning, it's all kind of been on these, nothing pretty about it. A couple of easy luck or beating out a pitch like they did on the fielder's choice. That one's just a little bloop, and they are, right, putting that pressure on. But the Wildcats have done a good job thus far to work around it.
The one piece of hard contact they had, the double by Diaz back in the third, he was stranded on second after out. But now here's Alex Diaz, who had that big double. He swings and misses at a fastball, low and away, strike 1. But really, the pressure hasn't been on since the first inning when, it was walk, sack, bunt, single, and then the double play got him out of it. 0-1. Swing and a miss. Went with the off speed and got Diaz out ahead of it. Now it's 0-2. Wildcats trying to hang on to this 2-0 lead here in the 7th. Swing and a miss. Goodbye, Alex Diaz. Edwin Sanchez had Alex Diaz seeing stars. Fastball in, breaking ball down, breaking ball away. Swing, swing, swing. Goodbye. We're on to the bottom of the 7th here on the CatEye Network.
up for the Wildcats.
9-1-2 due up for the Wildcats in the bottom of the seventh. They have a 2-0 lead over Texas Southern. Looking to make it more against the first man out of the bullpen. It's Kawan Brazil, the native of Charlotte, North Carolina, and the transfer from Alcorn State. Bunted. That's a foul ball. Hit the top of the plate from Sergio Rivera, who's 0 for 2, but not for the lack of trying. He's been robbed by two great defensive plays. One by Garcia out in left, who made a nice catch by the line, and once by a leaping grab at third on a scorched line drive by Flores, who made one of the plays of the season defensively to keep him off the base paths. He's behind 0-1-2 Brazil after the failed bunt. That one caught the outside corner, 0-2. Brazil comes in his 16th appearance of the season with an 8.15 ERA, 59 and 2/3 innings pitched. He's got up 59 runs on 82 hits, 54 of those earned. Upstairs, 1 and 2. Struck out 32 and walked 30 has Brazil. He's given up 16 doubles, 3 triples, 9 homers, 6 wild pitches, and 2 hit by pitches. His record is 3-7. 1-2. Fouled straight back. Rivera stays alive. And now we play the ever dangerous game of, now you've got to the bullpen, what are you going to do with it? As Brazil has the second most innings pitched on the year for Texas Southern. A very experienced arm out of that bullpen. Fly to right by Rivera. Lejeune makes the catch, 1 away.
Sergio Rivera is a guy I'm really excited to watch play in the tournament because he's got that very much veteran mentality, even though, it's only his second year with the program, and there's certainly guys more experienced here than him. But even look at a play like that, right, you kind of knew it was an out, little fly ball, not too deep into right there. And look at him hustle. He's halfway to second base before the ball is even in the glove. There's plenty of guys who just jog that one out, head on back to the dugout, on to the next. But no, he's still hustling it out. He's a really great piece that deserves the opportunity to shine in the tournament.
Now 1 away, and here's Darrell Lee, who's had himself a rough night. Was hit by a pitch in the first, flied out to left in the third, and struck out in the fifth. 1-0. Lefty to lefty fastball outside 2-0. He's one that will be glad to see the backside of Malone. But Kawan Brazil, as I mentioned, has thrown the second most innings on the team this year. That one's fouled away by Lee, 2-1. Only behind the normal Friday night starter, Calvin McClendon, who we expect to see on Saturday for Texas Southern. Opponent batting average for Brazil, 332. 2-1. Fastball caught the outside corner, 2-2. Darrell Lee has not been without his cold stretches either. I mean, he only had 1 hit in the entire series against Alabama State 2 weeks ago. And last weekend against Grambling State, did have 4 hits across the 2 games, 3 in the first game. Scored 2 runs in that game as well. Ground ball, base hit up the middle. Nice AB by Darrell Lee. He's got his first single of the series.
Darrell Lee is one of the best on this Wildcats lineup of working his way out of counts where he's down early or where he works deep, and it always seems to work in his favor. A lot of times that's walks, hit by pitches, but a lot of times, too, it's just sending one right back the other way. He's a really great job of shortening the swing, not trying to do too much, just putting stuff through the infield. Another great opportunity there.
Now it's Andre Martinez. 1 for 3, but that one was a big one. A no-doubt home run to left field that gave the Wildcats a 2-0 lead back in the 5th. His other adventures at the base on the, other adventures at the plate that include a pop-up in foul territory to the first base side and a ground out to the first baseman. And he's been behind 0-2 in his 3 previous at-bats. And now he's ahead, a ball and no strikes as that first one was in the dirt. Brazil kicks and deals. Martinez just underneath it and pops it foul, straight back, 1-1. There was a point, maybe midway through March, where I thought Andre Martinez might be about to set a bunch of program records. He's cooled off since then, but still 1-1. Lee goes, hit and run. Martinez fouls it back to the screen 1-2. But I mean, he still had the best season for a BCU hitter since joining the SWAC. And I can confidently say that without looking at any statistics whatsoever.
Yeah, when you talk about re-recruiting your own guys in the modern age of collegiate athletics, I mean, he is top on that list. You have to make sure you find a way to get him to come back in the maroon and gold next year, because the sky feels like the limit offensively for him. And really, I give a lot of credit to the SWAC. It feels like the most complete offensive year and one of the best ones they've had in recent years, right? Every year they have, a couple guys at the top that are your, feared hitters. But between Martinez, Thibodeau at Southern, and Cruz at Bama State, I mean, that's three guys that are excellent.
That's the first strikeout looking for anybody tonight. And that's a bit of a letdown for Andre Martinez as he watches that one right down the middle for strike 3. First strikeout for Brazil, 2 away in the inning. Here's Jorge Rodriguez, who's 2 for 3. Pop out on the first, single in the third, double in the fifth. While Martinez and Lee at times and Venegas have done it with the power, Jorge Rodriguez has just been that meat grinder. He'll give you single after single after single and just wear down opposing pitching staffs.
I mean, he has gotten, if you want to talk about an unheralded guy in this lineup, I mean, it's 100% Jorge Rodriguez. Got no Player of the Week awards, no Hitter of the Week awards.
Lee goes, pitch out, throw down to second. That one's much better, and that's the end of the inning as Lee is caught stealing. No runs a hit, nobody left. We go to the top of the 8th. The Wildcat lead is still just 2-0 here on the CatEye Network.
1 hit, no errors.
To the 8th we go, and with 6 outs to get here on this Thursday night first game of the series, Wildcats up 2-0. Bethune-Cookman turns to the bullpen and goes to their most consistent closing arm this season, Yoancel Diaz, to try and get the last 6 outs after 7 full innings of work for Edwin Sanchez. First pitch inside corner, strike 1 for Diaz to Jonathan Trejo, who's 0 for 2. Was called out on interference on a bunt attempt in the 3rd and then struck out in the 6th. Fastball outside, 1-1. Sanchez goes 7 innings on 95 pitches, gives up no runs on 6 hits, strikes out 8, and walks 1. 1-1. Fastball high, 2-1. And really, I think one of the better outings of the season for Edwin Sanchez. I mean, he didn't blow us away with double-digit strikeout numbers, but the optics of it. He gave up 6 hits, but all the hits he gave up, as the 2-1 is high, 3-1, were soft little dribblers and stuff that the infield just couldn't come up with and were hit where nobody was. And other than that, really efficient. Under 100 pitches, 7 full innings. Hands it over to Yo-Yo to try and close it out.
Yep, and I again, a lot of it, especially for a guy that's opening a tournament run or opening a weekend, is all about that control, and it always felt like he was in command of the game.
Line drive, right field. That's going to bounce in front of Martinez, and a leadoff single for Jonathan Trejo on a 3-2 count. There's been a couple leadoff singles for Texas Southern in the ball game. This inning, in the 7th and the 6th, was a leadoff walk in the 1st, a leadoff double in the 3rd, but none of them have come around to hurt the Wildcats as Irvin Escobar goes out to talk to Yo-Yo Diaz.
Yeah, I'm not surprised that it's Yo-Yo that we see in this opportunity, right? You figure this is a great chance to get him one last opportunity in a good, maybe not high leverage, but enough leverage spot. I mean, he certainly could reach high leverage at certain points in this game, but seen some good game action, one last outing in this regular season before you then put him on ice until you need him in the SWAC tournament, because you know how hard you might have to ride a guy like that once you get to Birmingham. But you're very much still banking on him coming through in these moments like he really has all year.
1 on, nobody out, back to the top of the order for Texas Southern. Here's Kelton Phillips. Diaz winds and fires. A bunt right in front of the plate. Put away by Escobar on a play that was tougher than he made it look. 1 away to move the runner Trejo over to second.
Yeah, off the bat, the contact of that one, I thought for sure that he was going to be able to run that one down and make that a base hit. But Escobar, calm and collected as he always has been, just kind of turns over and makes the play. And no kidding, I mean, he made that look way easier than it was. You got to really have a good feeling of space and where the runner is and everything that goes into a play like that to make it work.
Here's Bryce Hughes, 1 for 3 tonight. His single was a soft one, just a little squibbler on the infield to the right-hand side of the mound. First pitch, a ball outside from Yo-Yo Diaz. On the season, Diaz is 3-3 with a save, a 3.78 ERA. Hammered back to center field on the move, and the ball gets past Rivera and goes to the wall. Coming around to score from second is Trejo. Coming all the way in on a home run attempt, and safe is Bryce Hughes, and the game is tied on an inside the park home run. My goodness.
Well, kind of had a feeling that we would find our way into one of these type of games because the Wildcats just don't know how to win without a little bit of fireworks, it seems. I give a ton of credit to Hughes on that one for just hustling his heart out. I mean, that was no guarantee there. Rivera sells out a little bit for it in center field more than he probably would have, especially in hindsight. Tries to reach out and make that play, and when he lunges at it, he's just so far from the wall that it has all the time in the world to roll all the way there.
Bryce Hughes motored all the way around, and it's 2-2 just like that. Fouled away by Damian Garcia, who's 1 for 3. Singled in the 7th. Caught in a fielder's choice there. Other than that, grounded into a double play in the 1st and grounded out to the pitcher in the 4th. Swing and a miss. He's going to go down to first on a drop 3rd strike. Escobar cleans it up, 2 away. First strikeout for Diaz. Diaz has been a little bit shaky in his last couple of appearances. He was great against Alabama State in the 10-inning 4-3 win for the Wildcats. Came in 3 innings, allowed no runs on 2 hits, struck out 2. And against Jacksonville, he was saddled with the loss after blowing a save. Against Arkansas Pine Bluff, he was saddled with a loss after blowing a save. So 2 out of his last 3. He's come in with the lead and given up the lead. His best outing of the season was against Florida A&M in this ballpark. 2 1/3, 6 Ks, just 1 hit allowed. 1-1 now to Jaden Flores. Correction, Damian Garcia. 2 away in the inning. Now Diaz trying to keep it a 2-2 game for the Wildcat offense, which has been extremely quiet except for that 2-homer fifth. And just like that, Texas Southern has come back to life. A win today would put them over the playoff line because Prairie View A&M has dropped the first 2 to Alabama State. They started that series on Wednesday. Hammered in the gap to left center field. That's going to get down and head to the wall. Motoring towards second is Damian Garcia. He's there with a stand-up double.
See, that play right there is, you can look back to the inside the park home run and see that while that one was even more of a no-doubt double, if you will, it doesn't cause as much damage because there was no opportunity to sell out for it, and that cost you the whole roll down to the wall like that. So that's another one where you certainly question the decision that was made in center field, but we talked about it all game long. It took a little longer than we thought it would, but all Texas Southern needed was a little bit of life to get the boys fired up, and now it seems like they're starting to feel it a little bit.
9 hits in the game for Texas Southern. 3 of them in this inning. First pitch, slow ball 1 to Jaden Flores, who's 0 for 3. 2 Ks and a fly out to center field. Check swing, he went around, 1-1. But here we go again. There have been so many close games. We had 2 walk-offs in the series against Alabama State. We've been walked off a couple of times by Jacksonville, by Stetson. You may look at the Wildcats conference record at 22-4, but those have not been 22 easy wins by any means. 2-1 to Flores. That one caught the bottom of the zone. 2-2. And even some of the series that the Wildcats won going away, I mean, they were behind early, 2 out of 3 games against Alcorn State. They were behind all 3 games against Southern, and they won 2 out of 3 there. Foul ball, just caught a piece of it with Flores, so you'll see another one on a 2-2 count. I mean, if a couple balls bounce differently, or if the Wildcat offense isn't as good as they have been this season, I don't think we're looking at a 500 team by any means, but we're not looking at a team that's competing for a conference title. Wildcats trying to keep it at 2-2 here in the 8th. Diaz deals. Ground ball back up the middle, base hit. It's going to be 3-2. Rounding third is Garcia. The throw to the plate goes up the line. Texas Southern leads. Now, how long do you keep Diaz in?
Well, I'm not seeing any immediate sense of urgency here, but I'm guessing the bullpen activity wasn't quite as ready to go as you would think, given the situation. But, I mean, we talked about it early in the game, right, where the Wildcats don't necessarily know how to play when they're playing from ahead or playing from tied. Well, now they're going to get another chance to prove it. I mean, how many games this season have we seen where they've gone into the 9th or into the 8th leading and then forced to go into the 9th tied or go into the 9th down, and they just kind of pull it out? Well, now you're going to have another opportunity here.
And the last 2 runs have come with 2 outs, as Diaz has not been able to get out of this inning. Single by Trejo, sac bunt by Phillips to get him to second, inside the park home run by Bryce Hughes, then strikeout to Jones, Garcia double, Flores single, and that one is crushed. Way out of here. 2-run shot, Evan Joubert. His 7th of the season, and it's 5-2 Texas Southern. And that's got to be the end for Yo-Yo.
Boy, I said it'd probably be his last outing before the tournament. I'm not sure if you don't try to get him in later in the weekend again if you can, just to roll into the tournament with a little bit of confidence, because the way it's looked tonight is anything but. You don't want a guy who's been such a stalwart for you all season to go in feeling a little questionable about himself. Certainly got to take him out now, even with 2 outs. You just can't allow it to get any worse. You talk about flipping on a dime, and should we give the Wildcats credit for being that team this season that's looked dead the whole time and has put up one good one, while Texas Southern is Wildcats to the Wildcats.
talked about it coming into the game. Texas Southern, the second best hitting team in the conference on average.
No call to the pen. Thought somebody was coming out this way, and they waved him off. Of course, we still can't see who that is. But
yeah. But these are the top two teams in the league by runs scored coming into the weekend. Bethune-Cookman 454, Texas Southern 427. So Diaz is going to stay in to face Tyler Lejeune, the eighth hitter of the inning. 5 have come around to score, 3 of them with 2 outs. Breaking ball, strike 1. Lejeune grounded out to short of the second, struck out in the 5th, singled in the 7th. Breaking ball, another strike, 0-2. Yeah, Diaz hasn't gone to that breaking ball much in this appearance. It's mostly been fastball. Tried to blow it by Texas Southern. They've just been ready for it. Fastball outside, 1-2. From up 2-0 to down 5-2 in the blink of an eye, and it could be more as that one's played out into left field, but covering it is Lee, and finally the end of the inning. 5 runs, 5 hits, nobody left on. We go to the bottom of the 8th. The Wildcats have a lot of work to do now, down 5-2 here on the CatEye Network. Well, Texas Southern has out Wildcats the Wildcats. They put 5 runs up in the top of the 8th and go from 2-0 behind to 5-2 ahead, and now the Wildcats find themselves down by 3, 6 outs from defeat. Jorge Rodriguez, by virtue of being in the box when Darrell Lee was caught stealing in the 7th, leads off the 8th for Bethune-Cookman against the new pitcher, Leroy Tavares. Fastball strike inside corner for Tavares. The junior transfer from Odessa Community College stands in a 9.45 ERA on the year. Up and in off the glove of Diaz, scorched to the backstop, 1-1. 20 innings pitched for Tavares. He's given up 25 runs on 35 hits, 21 earned. Striking out 18 and walking 15. He's given up a double, 2 triples, no homers, 4 wild pitches, and 5 hit by pitches. The 1-1 in the dirt outside, 2-1. He's 1-2 with a save, Tavares. The one save coming against Texas A&M Corpus Christi in a 14-13 game. That pitch inside, 3-1. Back on the 11th of March. His win was in the first appearance of the season of the Cactus Jack HBCU Classic against Prairie View A&M. Ball 4 low, leadoff walk to Jorge Rodriguez.
Well, the Wildcats, if we know anything about the way this team has played throughout the year, as we're already going to have a mound visit, they don't go away at the end of these games when they, it seems, whatever you want to call it, mediocre or worse with the bat at times during games like this. They always seem to make it interesting at the end, and this is another spot where 3 runs is by no means insurmountable, even if it was the bottom of the ninth. But if you can put 1 or 2 on here, I think you really like your chances if you get to the next one. So don't be surprised if you get a couple of runners on, maybe even played a couple in this inning to give yourself a shot, if not a lead, going into that inning.
Nike is the official outfitter of the Bethune-Cookman Wildcats. Gear up on the newest BCU Nike gear at Nike.com/Bethune-Cookman Wildcats. Make sure you are representing Bethune-Cookman University Athletics to the fullest. Buy the latest BCU gear online at the Bethune-Cookman online store. Go to BCUathletics.com and click on Shop to find the newest BCU clothing and apparel. That's BCUathletics.com and click on Shop. Up steps Jose Fernandez, one of the hottest hitters in the lineup for the Wildcats over the last couple of weeks, batting .359, just 13 starts on the year. Fernandez, little blooper, and it won't leave the infield as Jones makes the catch. And there's one away. One pitch and an out.
Well, that's about as bad a result as you can get outside of maybe a double play. It's just first pitch, not a very competitive ball put in play there. That's an easy one that keeps everybody put in their spots, and it's pretty ineffective.
Off the bat, I thought that was headed for center field, but it just kind of died. Now here's Jesus Venegas, 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts tonight. How he'd love to change the narrative of a tough game for him. He takes up and in on a check swing, a ball, and no strikes. Struck out in the first and 6th and grounded out to 3rd in the 4th. Venegas. (1-0) up and in, 2-0. And the 2 strikeouts for Jesus, one to end the first, one to start the 6th, were pretty uncompetitive, swinging at stuff way out of the zone, just trying to get anything. 2-0. Swinging at stuff like that, that's way down and away. 2-1 now. And against these SWAC hitters, or pitchers, we've seen in the tournament multiple times, swing and a miss, change up inside corner 2-2. And here comes Derek Cartaya to speak to Jesus Venegas. It is a viable strategy, Bryce, to let some of these SWAC pitching staffs beat themselves. We saw it with Grambling State 2 years ago. We saw it with Jackson State in the game we won against them last year, and of course against Texas Southern, where they just couldn't stop anything.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a tried and true formula this time of year, especially when you're on that even playing field come the tournament. Is you don't have to be that over aggressive. You let them pitch to you, right? And it's not always just taking walks or getting hit. It's just working deep into counts, getting guys out, continuing to work into what's going to be a bunch of really fatigued bullpens, really hard-worked bullpens. Let them pitch to you. Don't come to them.
Swing and a miss. Ball in the dirt. 3rd strikeout of the night for Venegas. The thing with Venegas, right, is he's so good defensively at second. He almost kind of demands to be kept in. Who do you have behind him at second? I mean, not many other players for the Wildcats have played there this season. I mean, Christopher Watson a little bit. I can't really remember the last time he wasn't manning second base, so. Now 2 away in the inning. Here's Irvin Escobar, fouls one straight back.
Again, it's such a bit of parity when you go from Venegas, who's if there was a metric for easiest to strike out, I mean, he's one who's certainly found a good share of him this year. The guy that is patient and puts the bat on the ball as much as anybody.
0-1 to Escobar. Up and in, almost hit him. 1-1. 4 strikeouts in 106 at-bats for Irvin Escobar this year.
So the metric works on basically how many at-bats between strikeouts. It's about 27 at-bats per strikeout.
And he waves on that slider from Leroy Tavares, the native of Snyder, Texas. Before coming over to Texas Southern, was at Odessa Community College. He's trying to come in and get a 6-out save here. As a ball comes over the wall from the Little League game going on the backfield.
How would that have happened? Because their home plate is facing away from...
I'm not sure how it happened. Foul ball, maybe.
Yeah, I guess that's right.
Anyway, a 1-2. Fouled away, first base side, count holds.
It's my point I made earlier about Escobar and his gap between being the hardest to strike out in the country. I don't remember the kid's name or the program, but I was doing some research for all conference nominations this week, and the kid who's hardest to strike out in the country goes 47 at-bats between strikeouts.
Inside 2-2. It's probably somebody from a small school in the Northeast.
Yeah, you're probably right. I mean, it's a nuts number, no matter modern baseball, old school baseball. I mean, shoot, that's a long time to go without a strikeout.
2-2. Over his head. Throw down to second. A late jump by Rodriguez, but he's in there on a wild pitch, and it's 3-2. I thought that hit Irvin Escobar in the helmet.
I could have sworn I heard it, but maybe I just heard it hit the back wall.
Congratulations are in order to Matt Sank, who's the head coach at the University of Stony Brook for baseball. We played them all the way back at the beginning of the year. He has announced his retirement after 38 years as the head coach of the Seawolves.
Those Northeast programs, man, they just feels like all of them have been there forever.
3-2, hit into right field. Tracking it towards the wall is Lejeune, and he makes the catch to end the inning. Will the Wildcats get nothing? No hits, 1 left, and we go to the 9th. 5-2, Texas Southern here on the CatEye Network. We go to the top of the 9th. 5-3, Texas Southern over Bethune-Cookman. And this would be a massive win for the Tigers if they were to hold on, as it would put them above the playoff line, above Prairie View A&M. They came in the only team outside the playoffs mathematically able to make it. The Wildcats will turn to Robert Lostra to hold the Tigers at bay. We have a pinch hitter here for Texas Southern as we go to the ninth. Elijah Rodriguez, the transfer from University of Mary Hardin Baylor. Known for their dominant Division III football team. 2-2 from Lostra to Rodriguez. Hit him. And there's a runner aboard with nobody out.
Now, speaking of Division III, did you see the play from the Auburn game earlier this week where the transfer in from Birmingham Southern, who
Hit
had
the
played
home
first
run?
base
Yes.
coach all year, hit the home run? I mean, that is as cool of a story as it gets. That's one of those things that you really, baseball is already underappreciated a lot in this country, and for good reason. I mean, the game, especially at the pro level, has kind of lagged behind a little bit. But, man, I mean, there's some awesome stories that come out of it. If you haven't checked that one out, that one is incredible.
Yeah, he played for Birmingham Southern, who made headlines last year because the university closed and they made the Division III College World Series.
Yeah, they played for 2 or 3 weeks with no college, with nothing. They just went out there just funding themselves or whatever was left over.
They had a GoFundMe, to try and get them to the tournament. I wanted them to win the whole thing. Came up short eventually. But.
Yep.
And now, he goes to Auburn and is essentially a graduate assistant coach, gets into a game and hits a home run.
First at bat of the season.
Trejo bunts it foul, first pitch. Robert Lostra, the junior, freshman at Palm Beach State, sophomore year at Miami-Dade College. This year is .675 ERA. Had the old infinity ERA in a game against Stetson his last time out. Gave up 1 run on 1 hit, struck out 1, walked 1. In that 6-5 loss against the Hatters. 29 and a third innings pitched for Lostra on the season. He's given up 24 runs on 31 hits, 22 earned. Ball and 2 strikes now to Jonathan Trejo, who's 1 for 3. Singled and scored in the 8th, struck out in the 6th. Was called out on batter's interference in the 3rd.
Batter, center fielder number 4, Kelson Phillips.
Because that was strike 3.
It was strike 3. I thought it was low. Anyway, strikeout for Lostra. Strikeout number 22 on the year for Robert. Breaking ball strike outside corner. Kelton Phillips back to the top of the order. 5th time through the order starting now for Texas Southern. Phillips, 1 for 3 with a walk. Lostra saw his ERA balloon from 6.44 to 6.75 with that outing against Stetson. Tap foul, left-hand side. Count holds 0-2 against Phillips. Last conference appearance for Lostra was 2 1/3 against Alabama State. Gave up 2 runs on 3 hits. Walked 2, struck out 2. That was in the 4-3 win for the Wildcats, that 10-inning walk-off. Breaking ball fouled away. These two teams will be back at it here tomorrow at 6 p.m. And if things hold as they do,
Could be back at it again.
looks
next
like,
week.
it looks like it might be a must-win game for the Wildcats' title aspirations tomorrow. 0-2. Fouled back to the screen. We'll do the 0-2 for the 3rd time. And we don't have a way of knowing what the score between Florida A&M and Alcorn State is, but we have to assume that Florida A&M is going to sweep that series. And if the Wildcats drop 2 here, you're talking about potentially being the number 1 seed because we have the head-to-head, but being co-champions with identical conference records. One, 2. Swing and a miss. Took about 10 mile an hour off of it from fastball to changeup. 2 straight strikeouts for Lastra. And now it's Bryce Hughes who broke the game open in the 8th with that inside the park home run.
The batter,
Give
shortstop,
a ton of
number
credit,
15, Bryce
Texas
Hughes.
Southern, man. And that's just against everything. Not that they were down by a ton necessarily, need a ton, but it still can be a lot to dig yourself out from a hole like that.
Off the end of the bat, foul back to the screen, 0-1. And you said it too, right? If Jackson State and Southern don't sweep one way or the other, we'll be playing Texas Southern again on Wednesday in the 1-8 game.
Yeah, and shoot, unless you kind of put your foot down a little bit in the rest of the series, I mean, you'll face a motivated Tigers team that feels that they can beat you if you're not careful.
Fastball upstairs, waved at by Hughes. Outside that inside the park home run, he had a little squibbler single on the infield in the 6th. Sack bunt in the 1st, popped out to second in the 3rd. Check swing. Did he go? Yes, he did. That's the end of the inning. 3 straight strikeouts for Lastra. No runs, no hits, 1 left. And we go to the 9th. Wildcats down 3, looking for another miracle here on the CatEye Network. Wildcats staring down the barrel of their 5th conference loss of the year. Down 5-2, bottom 9, and the Wildcats will turn to the sophomore Michael Rodriguez off the bench to bat for the sophomore Jorge Gonzalez-Feba, who was 0 for 2 with a walk and 2 strikeouts. Rodriguez watches a pitch in the dirt from Leroy Tavares. Defensive substitutions for Texas Southern across the inning break. Elijah Rodriguez stays in to catch after he pinch hit for Alex Diaz in the top of the 9th. And Dalen Carlton comes off the bench to play left field. Strike the knees, 1-1. Michael Rodriguez batting .275 on the year. Started 29 games for the Wildcats in 2025. 22 runs on 28 hits, 7 doubles, which in only 102 at-bats is a lot, a homer, a triple, and 15 RBI. 2-1. In the zone, 2-2. All Michael Rodriguez needs to do is get on base. He's one of the faster Wildcats on the base path. Is 8 of 9 on steals on the year for Rodriguez, but none of that matters if he can't reach base. 2-2 from Tavares. Breaking ball, punched to the left-hand side of the infield. Tavares off the mound, throws to first, in time to beat Rodriguez by half a step, and there's one away.
Man, that was a close one. A nice bit of hustle from Rodriguez. I do appreciate that, and especially given the situation. He really booked it down the line. But just enough behind the throw over to first to get him.
Here's Jeter Poyeto, who has one of the 2 Wildcat runs tonight. Solo shot to dead center in the 5th. The other run, Andre Martinez, a solo shot to left field in the 5th as well. Fastball inside corner. Great pitch from Tavares. 0-1. Wildcats have only stranded 7 in the game and only have 7 hits. Swing and a miss as Tavares took about 10 mile an hour off from fastball to breaking ball, and it's 0-2. This would be Tavares' second save of the season. His first was against Texas A&M Corpus Christi back on the 11th of March. Upstairs with the fastball 1-2. And I know it's only game 1 of this series, but the way it went south so fast. Poyeto watches one of the dirt 2-2. You hope that the Wildcats don't really get into their own head about it, even if they don't come back in this game. Because you got 2 more games to play, and you still got a shot to win the regular season title if you take both of them. 2-2. Ground ball, punch to the third base side. Charging is Flores, and he'll hold the ball as Poyeto runs out an infield single. Now, that's a softball play right there.
100%. Just completely legging one out. Not a bunt, but swinging bunt, if you will.
Yeah, Armani Newton's got a pinch hit for Sergio Rivera here. And Sergio Rivera goes 0 for 3, but was the victim of some really great defense at third and in left field. Newton, the transfer from Florida Gulf Coast.
For Bethune-Cookman, number 14, Armani Newton.
124 at-bats on the year, started 35 games, been in and out of the lineup in the outfield, and also a designated hitter. 8 home runs, but a lot of them in the first couple of series of the year in non-conference play. Fastball taken at the letters for strike 1. Batting .242, Newton. 35 runs on 30 hits. 5 doubles, 2 triples, 8 homers. That one lofted into shallow left. Making a big turn at second and holding up is Poyeto. So a little soft single for Armani Newton. And there's 2 on with 1 out, and the batter will be Darrell Lee.
That was a really big swing for Newton, and I'm not entirely sure if that was the intent there to kind of go opposite field like that, flick that one just out through the hole over there, but it works nonetheless. I mean, I think the swing was a lot more violent, a lot harder than the contact would suggest, but gets a little bit under it, and of course the angle of the bat allows it to get down there for a base hit, just as we kind of expected. They got something cooking.
Fastball outside and low to Darrell Lee. It's been a tough night for Lee. Hit by a pitch in the first, stranded on second. Flied out to right in the third. Struck out in the 5th and singled in the 7th up the middle, but was caught stealing to end the inning, and now he's down 0-2 if that fastball at the knees. Jackson stayed on top of Southern 6-2 end of the 5th out there in that crucial series between those 2 rivals. Time called by Darrell Lee. Lee has been known to put together a good at-bat after a tough week or a tough game and come through late. Staring down 0-2 from Tavares. Line drive towards short. This could be the end. On to second for 1. Back to first. Got him. Strike, a double play, and Texas Southern wins.
Well,
the Wildcats not happy. They thought Trejo came off the bag. as it was a great throw by Jones at second, falling away, momentum taking him toward the third base side, threw across his body. Trejo just kept his toe on the bag to beat out the speedy Lee. And without the benefit of replay here in the SWAC, this one has to stand. He's out, the ball game is over, and Texas Southern moves into playoff position. They beat the Wildcats 5-2 with a 5-run eighth and put the Wildcats in a ton of pressure if they want to win the regular season title.
And I think it's not a bad spot to be in, right? I mean, we said it a lot coming into the last, I don't know, probably 3 or 4 series where it felt like the Wildcats were riding really high. They needed a little bit of a wake-up call. No, I don't think they're in the same spot. I think we're past the point of, do they need a wake-up call or anything like this. But it's good to be challenged at this point in the season. You don't want to walk through this opponent. You don't want to walk through anybody and just coast your way into the tournament. You're going to get challenged here on the way out against a Texas Southern team that even still tomorrow is going to come back, A, knowing they can win the game against the team that's been atop the SWAC all season long, but B, still fighting for their lives, still trying to stay alive, still trying to be able to continue playing after this weekend. And they played with that fire tonight. Didn't always look like it, but they managed to pull it out at the end and really doing to the Wildcats what they've done to so many teams throughout this season. I give them a ton of credit for that. And for the Wildcats, it's, you hope it's just an off night for Yo-Yo. You hope that he can come back, whether it's one more time this weekend to get a little bit more or just start the postseason off strong, because that was probably the biggest warning sign of the night, because Sanchez was great. Maybe the best we've seen him all year, certainly up there with his best outings of the year. Give him a ton of credit for what he was able to accomplish. But then the wheels kind of fell off a little bit. You take your licks and you understand that no game is a guarantee, especially as they become more and more precious as you get up to Birmingham and you get back and you try to do it again tomorrow.
For the Texas Southern Tigers, 5 runs on 11 hits, no errors, and 7 left on. For Bethune-Cookman, they scored 2 runs on 9 hits, no errors, and 8 left on. I'm trying to see who officially got the win. It might be Brazil. It depends on when Malone left the game. Yeah, it will be Brazil because he came on. No, it's Malone, right? Because Brazil came on in the bottom of the 7th after they had. No, it is Brazil.
It's Brazil.
It's Brazil.
Because he pitched the bottom of the bottom of the 7th. Took the lead in the 8th, and then Tavares finished it off. He would get the save.
All right, little bit of confusion there. I had marked it incorrectly in my book and then went, wait, that's not right. Yep. So Brazil moves to 4-7 on this season. Yo-Yo Diaz takes the loss. He moves to 3-4. The save goes to Leroy Tavares, his 2nd of the year. Wildcats have to pick themselves up, get right back out here tomorrow, and we know the mental strength of this team. And even after the toughest losses that they've taken this year, the walk-off losses, the losses where you thought you had it and you let it slip away, they're still laughing and joking on the bus going home. And I'm sure they'll wake up tomorrow morning, put this out of their minds, and come back ready to play tomorrow.
Yep, we know that's the way this coaching staff runs. We're really up and down, right? From Joel Sanchez on the pitching side to Derek CatEye on the hitting, and then of course Coach Hernandez at the top. They for sure will be locked in and ready to go. And a lot of times I think it's maybe less of mental strength as much as it is just kind of floating through this thing, right? And I mean that in a good way, right? They're not going to let it get them too much down. They know the team they are. They know what they're capable of. But we're going to need them to show us a little bit more, a couple more times this season now on our way to the tournament.
Quick one tonight, 2 hours, 45 minutes, your time of the ball game, 6:15 to 8:50. Texas Southern 5, Bethune-Cookman 2. Bethune-Cookman falls to 31-21 on the season, 22-5 in conference play. Texas Southern improves to 22-28 and is now 15-13 in the SWAC. They're above the playoff line. They bump Prairie View out, and if Prairie View loses tomorrow and drops the series against Alabama State, that would put Texas Southern in, no matter what happens the rest of this weekend. So really, really big one for Texas Southern tonight. And fair play to them. They came in. They had a rough start. Eventually, when the starter that they had no luck against came out, they took the relief pitcher and banged him around a little bit and took the win. They've done what the Wildcats have done to so many teams this season.
Yeah, they had a chance to hang their heads. I mean, plenty of innings of little to nothing. They had a chance to let it all slip away and just kind of fade away, and they didn't. I give them a ton of credit.
For Bryce Rodowski and our entire Wildcat crew here at Sanford Memorial Stadium, my name is Michael Torello. Thank you for joining us this evening. We'll be back tomorrow, 6 p.m. for the second game of this 3-game series here on the CatEye Network. Have a good night, and hail Wildcats.